motion that we do the reorganization meeting on April the 13th, on Thursday, April the 13th, at 5 p.m.
I'll second.
Motion by Roger Bridgman, seconded by Sean Siebert, to set the board reorganization meeting for Thursday, April 13th, 2023, at 5 p.m. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? 7 yes.
All right. Next item is property casualty insurance renewal.
Yeah, so this one, we could use Missouri United School Insurance Council. They had just a flat across the board 12% increase. So 7% was due to inflation of property, and then 5% was content materials. And then overall, we had a 13.4% increase. So the other 1.4 was our workman's comp claims. Those work on a 3-year average, so every year it rolls, 1 year rolls off. So we had a year where the average is higher. With that, it's a $20,000 increase from the year prior. But things to keep in mind, we're insuring $57 million worth of property, covers our general liability, buses, school board liability, workman's comp, cyber liability, pollution liability, treasurer's bonds. So it's all inclusive of everything we do in a school district. So that's right there, $173,297. And our property value increased $7 million with our reassessment. So may sound high, but when you look at the multiple millions of dollars it's insuring, it's kind of on par with everything else.
Inflation is here. Do I hear a motion, or does anybody have any questions about this?
Sean, motion.
Second. Motion by Sean Siebert, seconded by Lisa Elrod, to accept the renewal rates for music in the amount of $173,297 that will cover the period of December 31st, 2022 through December 31st, 2023. All those in favor?
Yes. Yes.
Opposed? 7 yes.
Next item is duo security.
All right. So just talking about music insurance, cybersecurity is a hot topic. There's a lot of hits on that now. We're looking at it's no longer going to be covered under our generic plan. Providers are going to start requiring a dual authentication process. So when you log in once for your computer, I've got it set up on my phone. It sends me, I can do 3 different ways to log in. But then that way it covers it there. Originally was quoted $3,000 per month, which to me was a lot, $36,000 for the year. But we're looking at this needing to be in place July 1st. So if it was going to be at that $3,000, I was going to conservatively wait as long as possible to do that, maybe April, May. I've got a requote, and it's $4,890 per year, which to me is a lot better. What we have now is a $10,000 deductible. If we do not get this insurance, it'll jump to a $50,000 deductible for any cyber hits. And then in 1 year, if we don't have this in place, we won't get quoted. I'm told we won't get quoted insurance at all. So this is a have to. So just putting it in there so you're aware, looking at, and we can see what time to purchase that and get it started, but thinking probably April, and that way that gives staff time to get used to it. May is a pretty busy time of the year. So we're looking at April in there, but just want you to be aware of the new changes with insurance and cybersecurity. Pretty hot topic, and it's one we can't get away from. So, any questions?
Are they going to make the district like do a little certificate online that they have to say that they watched the video on the cybersecurity?
Went to the training. I haven't seen that yet.
Because it's the same stuff that we just did.
Not that they couldn't.
Yeah.
A lot of those music videos are several, and there's 70 different videos you can watch for insurance purposes.
It's a really hot topic with schools right now, for sure.
The next item is looking for approval for a walk-in freezer bid.
Yep. So this is something that's not real exciting, but it is when you're working in food services. So one of the things we have and a need for is a walk-in freezer. This was talked a little bit last year with capital projects. If you'll recall, I went back and pulled the last 5 years of expenses on this freezer. We spent almost $13,000 on the middle school freezer. A new one should be about $50,000 to $60,000. But in our food contract, we are responsible on the school side to keep all the food service equipment operating properly. And so one of the things when that freezer goes down, Macy's here in town has actually been very nice and allows us to take our food out of it, take it to the grocery store. They keep it cool and then we come back. So would like to, and we have money in our budget and our food services for equipment that will cover that. So to me, we're kind of to the point we keep dumping money into something that goes out every so often. We keep pouring money into. I think we spent $4,500, $5,000 here in the last couple months getting that back up and running. So that would go into the old gymnasium. It's in the end of the maintenance shed. And so it'd be just a real nice double freezer that would have 2 cooling units. So if one went out, the other one kept the food cool. But it's large enough, we'd have to go out to bid for that at the $50,000 to $60,000 price there.
Questions? Concerns? Do we want to go out to bid?
I'll make a motion to go out to bid. There's no, like you said, there's no sense in putting money into something that's not gonna, we're not sure how long it's gonna last, so.
And with the middle school, they would just, so that building's just straight across the little sidewalk for them. They could walk in and out and get it. And then high school, elementary we could put food in there and divvy it out as needed.
I'll second the motion.
I already have a second.
No, I didn't hear, sorry.
Motion by Roger Bridgman, seconded by Tiffany Dickens to seek bids for middle school walk-in freezer. Excuse me. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? 7 yes.
Next item is classified employees under new minimum wage and substitute pay.
Right. So this one, just looking at, always comfortable making recommendations if that money is earmarked in the budget for next year. Don't want to make a recommendation if it's not. But where we're looking at, we have 17 employees that are under the $12 new minimum wage starting January 1st. We've right now got a revolving door of these individuals, and definitely understand with just increased cost of living and needing money up front. So just looking at that, ran some numbers to pay that out for the remainder of the year. It's an increase of $40,515. But then when you do the conversion and with the savings from the going from 4 to 5 days, so there is some savings in there. We can wrap that back into the budget next year, and so that'll be at an annual increase. Recurring costs will be at $69,454 for the 4-day schedule for next year with those folks. And it's not adjusting the whole salary schedule. That would be through a committee, and we need to look at that second semester. But this is just for those 17 individuals who are from 981 and up to the 12. We would move those 17 to 12 starting December 1st. The other thought with that is they won't see that into their payroll until the January 20th pay rate, because we're a month behind in payroll. So that would give them a bump there and hopefully help get some folks back. I have had conversations that if we go to $12 to contact them, they could probably come back and work for us. So this is an attempt to get our positions filled because we are short-staffed in some of our services here at school.
So I know that it's actually a 2-part agenda item. You're going to talk about increasing substitute pay as part of this discussion as well. And based on the information in the packet, I wholeheartedly agree that your employees that are making under $12 an hour need to be bumped up. I'm shocked, honestly, that you even have filled some of those positions with the pay that they are receiving. My concern lies, though, in your bullet point saying that we're going to pay for it with money that we're gonna save next year that we haven't even saved yet. So like technically you're gonna save your money from 23-24 school year, but we wanna spend it now. And so, and that falls into into the substitute pay as well. I mean, it's not a budgeted item. We've already approved our budget for this school year. And it's concerning to start spending money that we haven't even saved. And whenever you look into like the savings spreadsheet that we have, some of that savings is coming from transportation pay. So you could kind of look at it like you're taking money away from, you're potentially taking money away from your bus drivers to pay other people, which has not really been a common practice ever here. So I definitely think that your employees need to be paid more money. I'm just concerned on the thought process of how we're getting there.
Which is fine. So we also had in October, we confirmed our transportation one-time money, so that can be used for any operational cost because we put other operational money into that fund to pay for fuel, so that would offset it there. So there's money there as well and savings that could be spent also for that this year. And then again, next year, those numbers I shared with you are pretty accurate when you look at money spent and then take the percentage of days that would be different. So that money will be there. So I'm pretty conservative when it comes to numbers, and I can say I won't make a recommendation unless there's funds there to do so. And like I said, we've got, in closed session, we'll have some people who have resigned again because of just pay. So it's, we've got people in or out. So we've got money to do this is what I'm sharing with you.
Like I said, the concern is not necessarily bumping your employees up. I think that your classified staff needs to be bumped up. It probably also needs to be a schedule that the salary committee looks at whenever we start putting salary schedules. But trying to justify the $74,000 cost for this school year alone with the justification that you're going to pay for that out of money that you're going to save next year. When you look at how it's being presented to the board, I don't know that is, how can you spend money that you haven't saved yet?
So that's for next year's expense is one, and then one expense is for this year.
Yeah,
So
$74,000 is for this
I'm
year.
comfortable making the recommendation for next year with it being an annual renewing cost or repeating cost. That money is there in savings for next year. So
But
that's
you're
what.
talking, we're talking about.
So for
the
this year, we have-
22, 23 cost increase is $74,000. And per your
Per-
slide, it says that you're gonna pay for it with $110,000 savings from next year.
I know, well, so my apologies for the confusion there. That, where that reoccurring cost will come out of is out of the 110,000 savings for next year. You'll have a cost this year. So you'll have an increased cost of $40,515 for this year. And that is money we could use, say, the transportation money that was there. You can use that for operating expenses, so we can pay that with that. And then I'm comfortable making the recommendation for that $69,000 increased cost next year because we have 110,000 savings starting next year. So that's 69,000 will come out at 110 next year from the savings. So that's where I'm comfortable making that recommendation that there's money earmarked for the continued cost of making that $12, going from $9.81 or wherever they're at to $12. So that's where we could go ahead and do it this year. We have money to do that, so.
And then whenever we're talking about sub pay, I mean, that's typically something that we would have budgeted in. It's not necessarily a common practice to
Sure.
start spending things that we haven't budgeted.
Right.
So I don't necessarily have reservations on bumping your 17 employees up to $12 an hour. I think that needs to happen. Like I said, I would never have taken a job for what some of the people are making. But
Didn't we bump sub pay over the year, last time we did?
I think that would have been part of a salary discussion that would have went into effect for the next school year.
I thought we had a specific salary meeting though.
We have salary committee meetings.
No, I mean for the bump.
For the bump, because
Yeah.
we bumped, we just bumped them.
We bumped
it.
Yeah.
And we, I think we did that. For subs.
Because it wouldn't get done again.
Do you want me to speak about the subs?
Sure.
Okay, so with the subs right now, again, we're having a challenge getting subs, getting some parent emails and concerns regarding shortage of subs and just some creative ways we have to cover. And some of that's combining some classes at the elementary, again, just short at the high school, like musical chairs where other teachers are literally covering. Plan periods are using to cover full days of classes with other teachers. So just looking at that, so right now we're at 85 non-certified, 90 certified for sub-pay. I was asking for 115. That's what Bourbon currently is paying. They're trying to come back with Sullivan, but somewhere near, I mean, it's an arms race with finances, but the 115 would also then be justified for the increased extended day next year. So I wouldn't ask for increasing that from 115 to higher. With the 4-day, it would just automatically be, we moved it up now, but again, we're just short trying to get subs in for that. And again, the same concept there, we'd have an increase of $33,593 for the remaining of this year, and we have money aside. Again, if we want to use that transportation fund, it's there because we had to put our own funds in. So it's there to cover that. And then that annual increase for recurring costs would only be $24,309. So it'd actually be lower, but when you look at, you'd have fewer days, we'd need subs next year because we'll decrease the amount of days in session that offsets. So that's where that, you can't compare, it's kind of comparing the 5 to the 4-day structure a little bit, but that's where those numbers came from. And so if you look at the minimum wage and the sub pay, those will both be able to be sustained with that $110,000 of skills next year.
So maybe for this year, maybe it's just more in the presentation. Maybe, I guess what you're more saying is, we have the money in the budget somewhere for this year. Next year, that's when we'll get into that hopeful savings.
Well, I'm pretty confident we'll save $110,000 next year.
Do you have a backup plan, or have we thought of a backup plan just in case we don't?
We will.
I mean, our reserves are
It's,
sitting at,
we,
what are our reserves sitting at?
so I work with finances.
7.6.
We've got, so ESER 2, we've got money there. So are you talking about the backup plan for the recurring costs or just
For the
the?
Because
So,
I understand the potential savings, and I understand that will cover it. However, if that potential savings isn't what we're thinking it's gonna be,
so if you look at this sheet I shared with the board,
I would.
okay, so these numbers are real numbers that were spent in 21-22, because that was a full fiscal year. So then if you look at the percentage, and that's less days that will be in session next year from the 5 to the 4. So that's real money in those.
I get that, but then at the same time, like with your electric and stuff, if you're still gonna have staff here, or you're still gonna have practices here, you're not gonna save all of that.
Well, so that was then dropped to the prorate. I halved that on some of those numbers.
And, well, and to look at the spreadsheet, I mean, if salary committee meets and we decide that the salary committee decides that they don't want transportation to lose money, your transportation employees,
Well, so then the other thing that's,
then your
I mean, we're getting into some
$40,000
of the,
savings isn't necessarily.
so we're getting into some of the 4-day savings, and one of the things we'll look at. So right now, we've purchased 2 buses per year for the last few years, minus this year. Buses have gone from $80,000 to $120,000. So if we're, working with our transportation director, reducing the amount of miles we'll drive per year, well, actually, we should be able just to buy 1 bus every other year. So if you take that $120,000, You cut it in half to $60,000, there's another $60,000 savings. So you would actually be at $170,000 savings next year. But again, making this recommendation because I'm confident and comfortable saying this money's here, this is actual savings for next year, and we could reallocate that into that $12 minimum wage pay increase and moving our subs to $115. And we have other one-time money that we can use this year to pay that difference to do that December through May.
Tiffany, were you asking on a backup plan, like what if we flush the toilet 500 more times on Monday when nobody's here and your utilities don't actually come out to be X amount of savings, or diesel prices go through the roof? Is that what you're asking? What's your backup plan when you don't actually save $110,000?
Yeah, so those we fluctuate budgets every year depending on what our revenues are, because those go up or down depending on state sales. So every year the budget is fluctuated. We don't have a set finite piece. Again, we have ESSER 2 funds that are coming in, and then we're utilizing those.
But the budget fluctuating is not really answering, is there a backup? Maybe you are answering.
Well,
but
I mean,
you're not.
well, so with
You
that,
understand
that's just every year school finance, whether it's a 4-day or 5-day, that's a every year school finance. That's why you put a budget in play. That's why we just did some amendments tonight,
Like we do.
because stuff fluctuates. We've had 8% increased cost on supplies. Well, that was just the normally, but we're floating everything around and utilizing that. So it's just a year to year. And then you have your assessments go up, so you should have a increase there as well. But if you really want to get any more past these
Essentially,
increases,
we are non-competitive with our wages in
Right.
those two staffing areas.
Right.
And in a time of a critical staffing shortage, we're just doing what we can to alleviate the burden for the teachers and then other, staff members that are having to pick up because we don't have enough staff positions.
Totally
But
get-
I don't want my concern to be misconstrued. I think they should get the money. I'm just concerned with how we're gonna be able to sustain that in the years to come if we don't have this.
Well,
that
so,
we think
so,
we're gonna
so in
have.
fairness too, though, if you're looking at, certified salary increases, this is the same conversation, and this is where we come back to the financial planning and strategies of our Prop C rollback, tax rate increase, no tax rate bond increase. So these are all future conversations as a board that we need to have and say, what's our strategic plan? Where do we want to be when? How do we want to get there? So right now, this is what we can do, but I don't want to recommend anything beyond this. This is something that we have shortages in these areas where these 17 individuals work. We have shortages with subs. We're having a lot of other people doing a lot of other work. We've got people picking up trash in the evenings that don't do that. We have teachers picking up trash, sweeping floors. We have people just trying to cover for subs or put classes together. So these are all just ways trying to strategically combat that a little bit this year, and then next year say, hey, we've got hopefully a better plan here to put in motion and move forward. So.
Well, and as I said, maybe it's more in the presentation of how you presented this. I guess it should have been said, we have the money in the budget, we're gonna move things around to pay for this, because you can't spend money that you haven't saved yet. Fair enough?
Well, that money's the last point to cover the total recurring cost. That's fine. So the money's in the budget. We can do this.
There you go. There, thank you.
Again, I'm pretty conservative when it comes to making recommendations. I'm not gonna do anything that's a short-term benefit. I'm here for the long run. Trying to think 3 to 5 years down the road, so. Any other questions?
Do we have any other questions, concerns? Dr. Davidson's made a motion that we move the classified employees that are below the minimum wage to $12 an hour, starting on December 1st, as presented. Somebody want to make that motion?
These are two separate motions.
I'll make that
Correct.
motion.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
As I said, I wasn't confused, or did not want the employees to be moved up to minimum wage. My concern was with the presentation of where the money was coming from, just so our audience is clear on that.
Motion by Jennifer Moreland, seconded by Lisa Elrod, that classified employees below the new minimum wage move to $12 per hour starting on December 1st, 2022 as presented. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed?
Abstain.
6 yes, 1 abstain.
Do I need to abstain? It's just,
I have to be good with my sister.
well,
Do you want to see who's on that list?
yeah, you might wanna check that, cause I may have to.
Well, since we had to do that,
No.
probably was on the ball over there.
But somebody is.
I had that earlier, I apologize.
It's called integrity.
Ms. Judy, do you want to, I have an electronic copy, would you like to look at it on my computer?
Yeah, I'm gonna change mine just again. Yeah.
And then Dr. Davidson also made he suggested we move substitute pay be increased to $115 per day, starting on December 1st as presented.
Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and make that motion because I know we're running into some major issues and schools around us are paying more.
A second.
Motion by Sherry Shudy, seconded by Lisa Elrod, to increase substitute pay to $115 per day starting on December 1st, 2022 as presented. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed?
Abstain.
6 yes, 1 abstain.
Next item is, we need to appoint 2 board members to the Calendar Development Committee. I know we've had this committee forever. I don't remember who's on the committee just off the top of my head. So,
Yeah.
Sherry? I'm sure it is. And so, are you both still good
I'll do
with
it.
being on that committee?
Okay.
Then I don't think, yeah, beautiful. So, we have to,
Yep. So I have worked with Desi to calculate the number of days depending on minutes. And so I'll get that stuff sent out to the 2 of you, shared it with our other committee members, which is myself, assistant soup, head principals, and then they have 2 certified and 1 classified on there, and then the 2 of you. So we'll set a date. Next week's pretty booked with meetings. We can look at that, if not the week after. But I'll definitely email the 2 of you that information, just to kind of give you the starting point and what we're looking at. And really, it's a backwards design, so if we determine start time, stop time, however many minutes we want to the length of the day, it's an accordion effect. So the more minutes, the fewer days, but that's gonna stay in the parameters of what was communicated in the survey and through any discussions, so nothing's going outside of those, just to stay true to what was communicated from the start. So that'll be presented and shared out, and once we determine that, the calendar essentially will build itself, but there's room for people to ask questions and make a few adjustments too. So we'll do all that through the committee.
The next item is the track athlete recognition.
We have Coach Kite. Put her on the stage here.
Coach Kite, come on down.
I've got her presentation here. I'll just pull that. Did not find that. Is it on? It's on now.
Coach Kite, thank you for putting this together.
Connections are lost.
Oh, mine just shut down completely and started all of a sudden.
Now you're back.
Right, did you come back alive?
Yeah, not commissioning that.
Me too. No.
All right. So Coach Kite has put this together. Celebrate some athletes. We want to make sure we're able to recognize our athletes over the years. And then she's very humble, but even coaching nowadays, I want to recognize her. How many years of coaching? Too many to count. Too many to count. But
This will be my 29th year.
29th year. So I did 6 years and 29 years. That's quite the honor there. So Coach Kite, just tell me when to click. What's your good?
I don't have to stand behind this, do I?
No.
All right. Good evening, I'm Coach Kite, and I want to do a proposal recognizing our individual state champions. And this is something that kind of really hits home for me. If you can push it to the next one. The first proposal is getting an individual state champion banner for the high school gym. You know, you go to other schools, you see banners all around, you know, their teams that have won, and then the individual champions, and we don't have that. Okay? We have 5 individuals and 1 relay team that was crowned state champion. With a total of 8 individuals earning that title, plus a relay team, and 1 was in cross country while the rest was in track and field. So, this is the list of our individual state champions. Our first state champion was Walter Womack. I spoke to him a few years ago, back when I first started coaching, and I'm not for sure if he's still alive. I think he is, but everybody, I believe, is still alive on here, but I think it's something that we need to recognize these people with. Ed Cruz still lives here in town. Ray Hughes, I'm in contact with him through Facebook, but I think Sean, you're in contact with him. He is over in Europe now. The cross country, or the relay team of Stephanie Cruz, and it's Shelly Smith. I think it's Sarah Bottom. and Tamara Gore. I know 2 of them. I actually went to college with Tamara. So, and then Amber White was our last individual champion. If you notice, she's on there 4 times. Okay. I think on one of the slides, the next one, why should this be done? Why should this be done? Becoming a state champion is an individual. It's an honor not only to the individual, but to the school. They're standing there on the podium with a cube on their chest. And if you've never been to a state championship like a track meet, it's amazing. There's thousands of people, and they take time to honor everybody, and they do the top 8. It's just a magical time to be there. And it's an honor to the school because here they are as they announce it, Cuba High School. Okay. Many times when these athletes are crowned, especially with track, it's done after school is over for the year, and a lot of times these athletes do not get any recognition. And then as it goes past, the new school year starts, and it's just kind of put to the wayside as the year before, and we move on. Okay, that's one of the reasons why this is kind of very important to me. So if we go to the next slide. The banner would match the other banners in the gym and would leave room for adding more names. So the next slide. Honoring these individuals with the banner in the gym will show our pride in these individuals' achievements, but also give inspiration to all future generations to want to get their name on the banner. You see kids going in, they see that people talk about it. Even though I've been out of school, when I went to other gyms here at Cuba as a coach, I'd always look at the banners. And I thought how cool that is. Okay, next one. What do we do to recognize our all-state athletes? This is what we do at CHS. 4-year all-state athletes, they get their jersey hung up in the commons. If you go to the high school commons, by the gym door, there's 2 jerseys hanging up. Okay, there is also a board out at the ticket booth that is recognizing all of the all-state track athletes. However, that's only accessible whenever there's a football game or a track meet. So you're looking at maybe a half dozen times to, 10 times a year. There's a banner hung up in the gym recognizing the 1992 cross-country state championship team. And when I first came here, in fact, when I came for my interview back in '96, I remember seeing the sign back on the back side of the school saying the cross-country team was state champions. It's gone. I don't know what happened to it. It disappeared. But I remember seeing it. And a lot of times, have I gone through towns, through Missouri, Illinois, traveling, I will see signs when you go into a community that says, home of such and such state champion. We don't have that here. Okay, so my next slide. How did I do my research? First of all, Dean Hayes. He's considered the father of Missouri Track and Cross Country Coaches Association. He has all of the records from MSHA, and a couple years ago I asked him, I actually purchased this to get all our all-state athletes, and I have the list here. You can also go to MSHA. It goes back for several years that you can look for the individual state champions and who's all-state. Mile Split and Athletic.net. Mile Split and Athletic.net are the platforms that we use during track season, put our records on. Okay. The banner would look something like this. However, it would just be like individual champions and have their names on it. And it'd be a 48 by 72 banner made from vinyl, and the names could be added, and the estimated cost is $171.64. I think this is the same banners that are going to be up in the gym already. So, okay. What do other schools do? I did a Google form for Sullivan, Herman, Montgomery County, Fatima, Owensville, and St. James. The reason why is we compete against these schools. The majority of these schools are in the same district, are the same size, give or take, some students for us. Okay? I put a link in there to show you all, I don't know if you were able to look at it, of the results of it, but every single school responded back. So, I think I have the results on the next, just a generic form. Fatima, Owensville, Herman, St. James, Montgomery County all honor their individual state champions. Herman, St. James, and Owensville have banners or a sign that's hung up. Owensville and Fatima has pictures hung up of the individuals, and Owensville has their names listed multiple times on the board. I go to Owensville, I'm always looking at all the pictures on the wall. Okay, St. James has a banner hung. Montgomery County has a sign hung up on the 25-second clock, which is near their high jump on the football field. And they have a sign up honoring their two-time state champion high jumper. And this is where I got the idea from to do this, because when we were there at Montgomery County, I heard our track kids talking about it. They were saying, oh, that's pretty cool, look at that. And that kind of gave me the inspiration to try to keep doing this. So here is some recognitions of what the other schools do. So if you want to see that. My second proposal is honoring a single athlete for their athletic achievements while a student at CHS. The sign from Montgomery County is what I like to do that for. Amber White was a 2011 graduate of CHS. She has 6 school records plus a relay. She set a record that could never be beaten. It can only be matched, where she was conference champion 16 times. Okay. She qualified. She qualified for the Class 2 state meet 9 times, was all-state 7 times, state champion 3 times in the triple jump and 1 time in the 400. And because of her being all-state all 4 years, her jersey is hanging up in the gym. And there was a picture of her, if we go to the next slide, of her just on top. It was a little picture sitting on top of the trophy case, but it's gone. I don't know what happened to it. But she also received a full-ride scholarship to Missouri Southern, where she was All-American in the indoor 400, member of the 4x4 relay team that set a school record. She was all-conference in the triple jump 400 and the 4x4. She was also academic honors and female athlete of the year. Still is an alumni of Cuba High School. So, I would like to be able to recognize her by putting a sign up similar to this near the triple jump, so people can see it, so the younger kids that come out to the track, when Coach Medlock brings his elementary kids out there, they're going to see that and they're going to go, wow, I want that. That's why I'm wanting to do this. And this is why I overheard the athletes talking about the sign, and this was my inspiration to doing this. I think that's it. So,
Awesome. Thank you very much.
thank you. Any questions that?
The banner that's hanging up in the commons right now, those are school records, aren't they?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yes, and tomorrow evening we're recognizing the javelin record holders at the basketball game. But yeah, that's just the track records. This is to recognize like the state champions.
Yeah.
I know that we talked about this a few years ago. It was, actually it was brought up and then it just kind of died. But it was brought up at one time that we should do something like this. So, that's great, thanks.
That's what I'd like to be able to do that.
We're good to go, so we have funding for that. Not an issue there, but again, just wanted her to present. 29 years of coaching, very humble, not taking credit, but if it's not for coaches, our athletes couldn't be who they are. So wanted to honor Coach Kite here as well, and all of her years of service. But it's really cool to see what students have done over the years and athletes, and just kind of wanted the board to see some of that and recognition for that. So thank you again, appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you both.
Thank you.
item is the valedictorian, salutatorian discussion.
Yep, so with that received request, I know at the October meeting, we had some parents speak. I think they're in the audience too, as well. I had other students speak here, but I think it's just good to try to find recognition for all students at all achievement levels. Right now, we're looking at the Latin honor system, which recognizes different students in their respective fields. So if they want to go to a tech school, not taking the college prep courses or the weighted classes, they'd still get recognized there with their strong academics, but also those then who are taking those challenging classes as well can look at that. So just have this on here to say, we recognize you, we heard you. There will be a presentation in December, so our guidance counseling department will present that, and I think Mr. Bridgman is a guidance counselor there at Raleigh, so he will also share there. So we have time. Just to give a little background, the seniors who are seniors now at freshman orientation or somewhere in there was given information that it was not going to continue through their start and then their freshman year. So the ones that are already on that course are on that course to do it. So I think we'll see some options to recognize all students for this. Any questions or anything more to get to that? So it's all on there just to say it'll be on there with some presentations and options. And we have some time to get what that looks like, but it'll be good to recognize those students. We're doing a lot of good stuff here at this, so we want to celebrate those students.
Good. Next item is we need to approve the regular school scheduled board meeting for December. It is tentatively scheduled for December 15th at 6 o'clock. That is on a Thursday. What's the school schedule? Are we in, when's our last day of class?
To the half day on the 21st.
All right. So, whatever, is the 15th a good day? And can we pay bills and everything?
I think you already talked to Jamie and.
Yeah, she can do
she's
it.
agreeable.
So what's the 15th look like for all the board members?
I'll make a motion that we do December the 15th at 6 o'clock, our regular board meeting.
All right, motion by Roger Bridgman, seconded by Tiffany Dickens, that the December board meeting be scheduled on Thursday, December 15th, 2022 at 6 p.m. with closed session to follow. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? 7 yes.
All right, perfect. With that being said, we need to go into closed session, so I need a motion to go into closed session after a 15-minute break.
Motion by Tiffany Dickens, seconded by Shannon Wolf, to go into closed session in accordance with provisions of Section 610.
You send me that PowerPoint. No hurry. We're done with this.
Yes.
Yeah. That way I love it, especially all these little members. Yeah.